So, Bangladesh is at a real crossroads, and there's this new, pretty radical proposal on the table that aims to chart its future. Today, we're going to dissect a blueprint that weaves together some really hard-nosed industrial policy with a huge, sweeping philosophical vision for the whole nation. Let's dive in.
Right at the heart of this whole thing is a very concrete policy initiative. It's called DAFA 16. And its emblem kind of tells you a lot, right? It's all about propping up small and medium-sized businesses and protecting local industry. But, what does that actually mean in practice? Well, it starts by laying out a whole new economic rulebook. We're talking about a set of specific, mandatory regulations that are designed to totally change how the country's biggest companies and its smallest entrepreneurs work with each other. And it really all comes down to one single powerful mandate, a rule that's meant to create a direct economic pipeline between the giants of industry, the huge factories, and the small businesses that are the real backbone of the economy, like your local workshop or artisan. This main idea is called the 25% mandate. It's basically a purchasing policy with some very specific numbers and rules attached, and the whole point is to fuel the growth of all those small and medium-sized businesses. So here's the core of it. It would make it a rule that all heavy industries have to buy a full 25% of their raw materials, their components, even their semi-finished goods, directly from small and medium-sized businesses. Now, to help these small businesses actually get going and meet all this new demand, the plan has a huge incentive packed in. A full 7-year tax holiday for any new small or medium-sized enterprise. That's 7 years with zero taxes, all to encourage them to grow and invest. Okay, so this is where you can really see the pieces starting to click together. You've got the 25% rule creating demand and the 7-year tax holiday helping with supply. But look at that third point, no sister concerns. Now, this is absolutely critical. It means the big companies can't just go out and create their own fake small suppliers to get around the rule. It closes a massive potential loophole to make sure the support goes to real independent entrepreneurs. And then the whole thing is shielded by a plan for import tariffs to protect these new homegrown supply chains. Yeah, that last point about protecting these new domestic supply chains is a really big deal. So how exactly does this blueprint plan to guard the home market? How does it make sure these new, growing small businesses can actually compete, not just with each other, but with stuff coming in from all over the world? The main tool they're proposing is something called an anti-dumping tariff. The idea is actually pretty simple. If a foreign country is dumping goods in your market, basically selling them for less than they even cost to make, just to kill your local companies, the government can slap a special tax on them to level the playing field. And listen, this isn't just some vague idea. The plan lays out a super clear, systematic 5-step strategy, and it moves fast. Investigate to prove the dumping. Analyze the harm it's causing. Recommend a specific tariff. Implement it officially. And then you're constantly reviewing and adjusting. It's a very methodical, no-nonsense way of defending your own market. This quote really gets right to the philosophy behind the whole trade policy. The source material is crystal clear on this, saying that when it comes to protecting local industry, the nation's interests come first. Period. No conditions from outside banks or other countries. It's a really strong declaration of economic sovereignty. So this kind of begs a natural question, doesn't it? A 5-step tariff strategy, a 25% procurement mandate, a no sister concerns clause. I mean, these are incredibly specific ideas. Where does a plan this detailed actually come from? Well, the answer is that this policy isn't just some standalone proposal. It's actually one small practical piece of a much, much larger philosophical vision for the entire country. And that vision is laid out right here in this book, The Architects of Tomorrow by Guru Dilawar Hussain. That DAFA 16 policy we just walked through, it's a direct component of the strategic roadmap that's presented right inside these pages. So what is The Architects of Tomorrow? Well, it's framed not just as a book, but as a full-on manifesto for a complete national transformation, aiming to build what it calls an enlightened civilization. Yeah, the book's own preface describes it as both a manifesto and a strategic roadmap. It really emphasizes that it's focused on a detailed plan for the future, not just on criticizing the way things are now. It takes aim at the really big systemic issues. The deep-rooted challenges of poverty, corruption, and social injustice that it argues are holding the entire nation back, despite the incredible potential of its people.
The whole philosophy driving it is this idea of a revolution for the rejuvenation of Bangladesh. It's a call for a profound awakening, a fundamental shift in how the country operates, from its economy all the way to its social fabric.
And the vision is just immense. It's presented as a social action movement and an integrated plan to build national trust and prosperity. And get this, the goal is to elevate Bangladesh to the same global standing as countries like Japan or Singapore. It's a blueprint for uniting 180 million people with a single purpose, and it's an urgent call to action for every single citizen.
So that leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. We started with a very specific, almost bureaucratic rule, that 25% procurement mandate. And we ended with this grand, sweeping vision for a national revolution. It really makes you think, doesn't it? For any big vision to succeed, does it have to be built on a foundation of small, practical, super detailed policies? Can one really even exist without the other?